I help to teach moms how to create more abundance with health in their life for themselves and their families, and also to create more financial abundance. And that's really using natural means to be able to help their families get healthy and well.
Welcome to the Audacious Life Podcast, where your host, Stephanie Roberts, welcomes you to listen to women from all walks of life share their stories of finding freedom from abuse. You'll hear experts give you real advice on what you need to do to create hope for your future. Make a plan and see that light at the end of the tunnel. You'll learn how to build yourself up spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, and legally. 1 in 4 women have experienced some form of abuse, and 80% of women who leave abusive relationships go back. It's time to change that statistic and give you the audacious life you've always wanted. A life of freedom, peace, and true joy. Put on your headphones and get ready to be inspired.
Hello, Audacious Life listeners. Thanks for tuning in again, and thank you for allowing me to take a bit of a break last week. We had a lot going on in my family. End of the year, school year events popping up left and right, and then I just switched my little one to a new preschool, and my older daughter has had quite a few different types of tests and appointments, so it's been busy, and just keeping all of the day-to-day stuff going was one thing. So I gave myself a little bit of a break from the podcast and just wanted to thank you for bearing with me through that. And the good news is that even though my days were quite full, I was able to do a couple of very late night interviews. So one of them is with our next guest today, Dr. Karen Osburn, and she is a phenomenal mama, entrepreneur, and a chiropractor. So I think you're going to love what she has to say about her life, her podcast, her views on parenting, and then this is kind of a surprise to me. I didn't know too much about what she's doing on the side, but she actually just started another business and it kind of happened organically, and she'll tell you about that. But it's something you might be interested in if you yourself are thinking of ways to create more income. And she's doing a lot with essential oils. So stay tuned and welcome back. Thanks for listening. This episode is sponsored by Undolus.com. You've taken control of your life this far, so why not take control of your dating too? The choice is yours. Check out Undolus.com. Undolus.com has leveraged the power of the feminine collective. That's right, the sisterhood. There are lots of other women out there like you, and they don't want to date a creepy guy or stalker type. And they don't want you to end up with one either. You'd both rather have the good guy. So maybe that guy who didn't work out for them, he'll be perfect for you. And maybe your dud date is their diamond. Undolus is a place where women can gather, share their thoughts on the men they've spent time dating, whether on a date or a full relationship. Undolus can perform a simple background check too, and cross-reference it with women's ratings to give you a dateability score. How cool is that? So go ahead, check out Undolus.com, Undolus.com. Come on, leave some dirt on your ex and help a sister out. Or rate that guy who was sweet but didn't quite work out for you. Heck, you can even leave a review on your best guy friend, the one who's having trouble finding Mrs. Right. Let's help the good guys float to the top. Use promo code ALIFE50 to get 50% off your monthly membership. You've got power, so let's wield it. Let's use the feminine collective, sign up today, rate your date, and let's build this database so we have a safe place to go to find the good guys and start dating again. Go to Undolus.com, Undolus.com. Welcome to the Audacious Life Podcast. I have Dr. Karen Osburn with me, and I know Karen from the Mom at 41 podcast and a few other things online, and I will let Karen tell us what she does.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me on, by the way, today. I appreciate this. Honored. I am a chiropractor. I've been a chiropractor for 14 and a half years. I practice at my family wellness office with my husband in St. Albert, Alberta, Canada. We have 2 boys. I'm an adoptive mommy of my oldest boy, Tyson, is 4.5, and my youngest, Kai, is almost 2. I have a podcast, as you mentioned, which is called Mom at 41. And I basically kind of, birthed that, if you will, out of this need that I saw for moms to just really talk about how it's hard to be a mom. Mm-hmm. And that they feel very torn and they feel like they're not doing it right. And all these conversations I was seeing that were coming up when I was blogging, and people would talk to me and friends, but never felt like they could say it out loud. And I never really got that. And so Mom at 41, I created to really create a space or a community for moms to really have those discussions, and decided I wanted to podcast. I've got solo episodes. I've got guest ones that we really kind of delve into a lot of those things. So, and we're coming up actually on almost a year. Wow. I think about a month, about 4-6 weeks. It'll be like the first year anniversary of the podcast. And then I'm actually also too a doTERRA wellness advocate, so an essential oils educator. And I help to teach moms how to create more abundance with health in their life for themselves and their families, and also to create more financial abundance. And that's really using natural means to be able to help their families get healthy and well.
Nice. I didn't think about, so the other things I haven't mentioned to you, and I was just trying to explain who the audience is and a little bit about them. And one of the things that's been a recurring theme recently, and the podcasts aren't all out, but is trying to find a way for women to create a second income, or a first income, actually, to kind of pave the way maybe to freedom and getting out of the situation they're in, or they're out, just supplementing their income, making things a little easier. So feel free to talk about the essential oils part of that too. I think
sure. I can speak a little bit right now if you'd like to. So doTERRA which is the number 1 essential oil company in the world. And maybe just a little bit of background for those who don't really know about essential oils. Essential oils are basically the oil that's taken from any part of the plant. So it can be from the leaves, the fruit, the bark, the stems of it. And so these are oils that can be used for many different things, either to help to heal different health concerns, to help to balance the body, really to help the body be overall healthy and well. And I think for me, I gravitated towards it because I was frustrated with my family being really sick and run down, which is so unusual for my family. We live a very, very healthy lifestyle. All 2 of them, both of my kids have had chiropractic care from birth. I've been into chiropractic care for decades. We eat real food, we exercise. And so there was just this frustration of, oh my God, why are we so sick? And my friend Andrea, who's a chiropractor as well, Dr. Andrea Ryan, started working with doTERRA, and she told me about it earlier, maybe like 4 or 5 months before this, and said, hey, you should check this out. And I just launched the podcast. I'm working like crazy, and I run the practice with the kids. I'm like, dude, I have nothing left on my plates that's already overflowing. And I honestly too, I had zero interest. I'd use essential oils a little bit here and there, but it was just I don't really think so. I thought essential oils were kind of just smell good, feel good,
Yeah.
And then, fast forward a couple of months later, and I was just like, oh my God, Andrea, hit me up with these oils. What? Tell me what to do. What do I get? So I ordered a few, and I didn't quite know. And Andrea was still kind of newer, so she didn't really explain a whole lot and was learning herself. Mm-hmm. And so I just started to have these experiences with them, whether it was from me just feeling much more calm and relaxed and balanced. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't because there was less stress or less things on my plate. There was more and more to both of those, Yeah. And so, but yet I felt calm and relaxed with things. Wow. I just felt like things would be coming in. I'm like, okay, that sucks. What do I need to do? I wouldn't really kind of get caught up. Yeah, it just felt really grounded. I noticed too that my boys were a lot healthier. They both are in daycare full time, and as most moms can attest to, daycares and schools are just like sick beds, and kids are constantly sick. And I actually started using the oils with the kids. I actually had one incident where we got a call, my youngest son, Kai, who at the time, he was probably about 15, 16 months. We get a call. They're like, hey, Kai's got a really high fever. You got to come pick it up. We're like, oh my God, really? Sometimes kids just kind of get sick and their bodies just kind of change on a dime. So we pick him up, and he's all lethargic and lifeless like they are when they've got a high fever when they're little. We bring him home, and of course, because we're both chiropractors, we adjusted him. And then the only thing I knew I had peppermint, lavender, lemon, and I knew the peppermint was cooling. So I, again, just didn't really know what to do. I was like, I took a little bit in my finger and I rubbed it onto his forehead. So within using peppermint and adjusting his spine, within 2 hours, his fever broke. So that was kind of my first like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. And I started to see more and more and more of this until it just kind of came down to like, look at, I feel like I have to share this. And I knew there was a business side to doTERRA, which my friend Andrea was doing, but I think I'd have to go back and ask Andrea. But I'm pretty certain I said, like, you know what, dude, like, I'm not doing the business side. I got too many things. Like, I just want to get stuff for me.
Yeah.
Here I am, 7-8 months later, like, speaking the praises of essential oils to anyone that I can, get in front of, because I saw it transform my life. And then when I started to really take a look at the business structure and the ability to be able to earn commission very, very well, it kind of opened up my eyes a little bit more of like, wow, this is kind of interesting. Of course, being a chiropractor and kind of more of a nurturer, that it was really up my alley with the whole philosophy first of using natural means to really support the body to be healthy and well. But when I started to really learn about that and the potential that was possible, it opened my eyes even more. And then as I started to kind of delve into it, I realized that doTERRA is, compared to a lot of other network marketing companies, so just as a short little bit about network marketing, the average retention rate for network marketing companies is about 13%. So meaning only 13% stay in it once they get in it. And I've kind of dabbled a little bit here and there before as kind of an extra thing to do on the side. And, most of them they're really complicated, and there's certain people that are earning a lot and most of us are not. And you get frustrated and there's not a lot of support and you kind of just jump out. Mm-hmm. doTERRA's retention rate is 65%.
Oh, wow.
So that itself was like, wow. And just the more I started to learn, the more I just discovered what an amazing company they were and all the support and training. And I'm just so in love with that. And doTERRA was actually been built on moms, which is really interesting. Wow. Because people will often see me and they go, oh, well, they might want to do what I'm doing. They go, oh, but you're a doctor and people will listen to you more and da, da, da. Kind of, sort of. I mean, I know more people, maybe that's it, but everybody knows a lot of people, a lot more than we think. And the majority of people that are actually in doTERRA doing really well are actually stay-at-home moms.
Really? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so just for any that are listening, if that's something that kind of piques their interest, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. These are, a lot of them are stay-at-home moms. Some homeschool their kids and they're doing doTERRA as well. It's just, to me, it becomes an exciting thing because it is whether it's moms, like a lot of your listeners to this podcast, Stephanie, that are just, they're looking for ways to be able to earn to maybe get out of a situation, right? Mm-hmm. That's, they want to be able to take their family's financial health and other health into their own hands to be able to care and maybe feel a little bit stuck right now with where they are.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, that's a big part of it, to be able to create, to allow people to become healers in their own home is great. Mm-hmm. But, to be able to, whether it's again with the listeners that are dealing with abuse and trying to get away from obviously very, hard and dangerous situations, to be able to either help a mom from, say, that end of the spectrum to maybe just another mom that's just like, well, the kids are back at school and I want to provide for my family and I want to do something that fulfills me, yet I don't want to be working for time. Right. I don't want to be having to punch a clock and be a certain place. I want to be more in control to create more financial abundance, but yet have that time freedom as well. And I think that's what makes doTERRA so attractive to so many moms as well.
That's great. Yeah. And I was just thinking about the comments you made about feeling more calm. Mm-hmm. That would be a huge win for most of the people in this situation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So how complicated or simple was that in terms of the oils you were using?
Do you mean how complicated or simple it was to learn it or to teach it or both?
No, or how do you figure out what might work for you? Is it like, okay, I'm going to look up anxiety and like 3 different oils pop up and there's some magical combination, or how does that work?
Yeah, it can be that way. I'd say if you take a look at something like you said, anxiety, right? Or someone who's really stressed or overwhelmed, that you can certainly kind of look up. There's great kind of books. There's one which is called the Modern Essentials Guide. That's kind of the Essential Oils Bible, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so you can do that. And there might be 3 main oils. Maybe there's 2 secondary ones. There's 1 tertiary one. So, I mean, first of all, it comes with, I know when I deal with anyone that's either at one of my classes, we've connected online and we're kind of chatting or emailing or Skype to figure out things and to see what their needs are. Or if it's in person, I even do a one-on-one, class or consultation. They can't make out to my evening classes. Then, first of all, the education starts there, right? And so people are kind of learning at the classes or through me or other people that are working with doTERRA as to really what would be the best oils for them. And sometimes then it is a little bit of like, so for example, oils that are really great for kind of calming and relaxing are things like lavender. People have all heard of lavender before. doTERRA makes some different blends. One is called Serenity. It's actually one of the lavender blends. Balance is another one. Frankincense would be a great one. Vetiver would be a great one. So I usually would start people trying with one or two of the oils, and then we just kind of go from there.
Nice.
Right. So it might be that someone just says, oh my gosh, lavender. I take a few drops. I smell it in my hands. I diffuse it. I rub it to the bottoms of my feet, which sounds kind of funny, but one of the ways that the body absorbs so well is through the bottoms of our feet. So the oils, you can actually get the benefits aromatically, topically, and for some of the oils, taking them internally. And so someone might just find that, that lavender, that's the one. Someone else might say, if I do lavender and I add balance, then that works really well. So that's a really good question because everyone's chemistry is a little bit different, right? So it might be a little bit of trial and error, if you will, but I'd say for most people, they see a pretty immediate effect by using the oils. Yeah. Yeah.
This is making me really think of my daughter who's struggling
I know.
with a lot of
about that before.
the hyperactivity and the anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I'm definitely going to look into it. So I will also include this in my show notes, of course.
Absolutely.
But just saying that for everybody else that they can look for this for sure. So how would you recommend that they go to the website and kind of, try out some of these oils first and then get a sense of what they think or if they're interested in the business piece of it because it sounds wonderful?
Yeah, I'd say, for either of those things to connect with me. That's really kind of the first start of that then too, is to just, see what people's needs are, right? And so people who online have connected with me, we email, we Skype, or even just talk on the phone and kind of take a look. They can go to the main doTERRA website, but to be quite honest, it's overwhelming.
Sure. Okay.
You just start looking at oils, you're like, oh, this is good for this one, this one's good for this. And it's like, So, I mean, I like to kind of, again, to give people some education first.
Right.
And then they can understand, what are the oils? How do they work? How do you use them? And then we can talk about how do you get them and what ones would really fit best for them.
Perfect.
And doTERRA has a lot of great starter kits. So we usually kind of, usually help to find someone what kit's going to fit best to their needs. And then they start with that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I thought the human element of network marketing really is the essential piece of that. So
it's a huge piece of that, and for everyone too. I mean, this is something that, yes, I know produces an income and that's lovely. But for me, I think it's a bigger thing. One of my highest core values is connection. And so to me, that's connection to myself and my kids and my husband and my friends and family. That's connection with people that I lay my hands on in my practice as a chiropractor. And it's those that, we got to connect online. I mean, what a beautiful thing is this to be able to connect with people all over the world, which is why I love doing stuff online. I love social media. Like being able to do the podcast and get the message out that way. So, that connection is the same thing with doTERRA as well for me. That's wanting to kind of see people through. I don't want someone to get a kit of oils and then they never use them again. What's the point in that? So for most people that have really kind of jumped into this and they start using the oils and they know such a difference, then it becomes okay, what's next? Let me try this now. Let me try this one. Let me take a look at the supplements. They maybe want to start getting rid of some of the toxins in their home. Right? They want to start switching out cleaning products. They want to start using, skincare that they actually know what's in it. They want to do the same thing for their kids as well too. And so to me, it becomes such again a thing for me with connection, because then people start to really switch out so many things within their home, within their daily lifestyle habits, that they start to see those changes, and it becomes even bigger than, which I know for you, Stephanie, kind of sharing before, the lots of behavioral challenges, with your daughter and anger and stuff like that. And it becomes bigger than, hey, she's not having that, but it becomes how is this now affecting the whole family, right? Or how are we making our house clean? I find that more and more moms, and even those that aren't moms, they want to know what's on their skin. They want to know what they're putting onto their hair. They want to know, what are the scents kind of doing, any of the artificial scent kind of stuff. And that's from scented candles and, scented body lotions and shampoos and perfumes. They all disrupt our hormones in our body. And so we all would do best just getting rid of that stuff. And the essential oils are a great replacement for that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not funny, but I have a nephew who's extremely sensitive to those things. And we have had to like really not just like get rid of them completely and like put them in a plastic bag while he was there, just like take them out. I mean, I would prefer to throw them out. And now I'm in my own house and I can do that. But before I was not able to do that. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. The whole
and some people can be of that extreme as well too, Stephanie, and some don't. Some don't know, right? They may be not symptomatic, but it's still affecting hormone levels. It's kind of like, you know, if you were to walk, I don't know, if someone has that like a strong selling perfume, we've all had the experience before. Some like strong smelling, we're just like, ugh, like it gives you an instant headache. You immediately just feel really crappy. You maybe feel a little bit moody. Like it's just, you know, you do not feel well. And so that's happening at some level when we have synthetic fragrances and smells, you know, that hit our body, whether or not we're having that response or not.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's such a great point. It's funny. I was literally just talking about that probably like 2 hours ago about just hormone disruptors and things in the environment and things.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know what, too, I think when it comes down to it, sometimes people just get a little bit like, oh my God, the world's going to hell. Monsanto, you know, GMOs, like all this stuff, like people, you know, spraying stuff and like what's going on. So there's a lot of toxins in our world that we can't control, right? We can't control what's in the air right now. We can't control if someone walks by smoking a cigarette or, you know, there's a lot of stuff we can't, but we can control what we bring into our home for the most part, right? So that's when people start kind of realizing that, okay, if I can reduce the toxic load of my body and the things that I can control, then I'm going to kind of focus on those things.
Love that. So how long have you been a rep or using the products even? How long is that?
I started using them, I have to think now, about 8 months ago. Okay. And I think about a month in, I went, okay, I want to do this. And so for the first month, I was just kind of learning a lot. I'm learning how to teach the classes. I'm learning about the oils. And so I started using the oils in November. You know, December I decided to, then of course we're running into like Christmas and stuff like that. So I just kind of, I had stuff in my office, but it was just kind of like, I had a couple things out. I was just like, oh, let's just see what people say. And then come January, so about maybe six weeks in, I just said, I'm, you know, I put my first class out. I just said, let's go. And I guess I'm someone who believes a lot in imperfect action. Yeah. So I don't think you have to have it all worked out before you do something because one, that's never going to happen. You're never going to know it all, right? And I think as long as you're coming from a good intention, it's remember, because like I teach a lot. So, you know, I do the podcast. I've taught workshops ever since I've been a chiropractor, even when I was in chiropractic college. And so I've done a lot of speaking. So yeah, I think that when I went to teach my first class that, you know, I didn't know everything at that point, but, you know, imperfect action, you know, just to kind of to jump in and do it because my intention in my heart was just like, I just want to share this. You know, I don't know it all. I'll figure it out. If I don't know, I can look it up for somebody. And my first class was like amazing, you know, and so it's been fun ever since teaching. It's definitely, you know, a challenge at times, but I think again, because, you know, I think with anything in life, if you're really passionate, if your intention is one of just really wanting to provide value and help to really transform people's lives, then as much as the things that you say and do kind of matter, they don't really matter as much, you know? And I know for people that have joined my team in doTERRA and just like, oh, I don't know how to do my first class. And what if they say this? And it's like, just jump in and do it, baby. You know, just,
awesome. Yeah.
You just have to start somewhere. And that's, to me, that's how you learn the best too. Because then you're like, oh, okay, well, that was cool. Well, this part kind of sucked and I'll do this differently next time. And, you know, I mean, I train my team really well and I've got great mentors and we've just got a great kind of overall team within my upline as well too, to really have that ongoing support. But I think too, you know, I can think of one of my builders, her name is Raid and she's awesome and she's a stay-at-home mom and you know, her son is in school and she was just kind of like, I want to get back to working. And so she was a former practice member and loved essential oils for a couple of years, started learning about doTERRA. And she's getting ready to start to teach some of her first classes and is really, I think, really starting to feel empowered by this, you know, which is really cool. That's, I think, a big part of this that I didn't think I was going to be as excited about has been really being able to coach and to lead other women to be able to do this too. I think that to me is just as exciting as people experiencing the oils and saying, oh my gosh, my family's healthier. I feel more relaxed, and just noticing the health benefits. I think those that are jumping and doing this as a business as well too, and starting to really, they're getting checks coming in, they're helping people. To me, that's just as super exciting.
Right. And I'm just asking myself, so what's the downside? And I don't want this to sound like a setup, because honestly, I didn't know anything about doTERRA before you started, but I'm listening and I'm like, well, this sounds good, because it sounds like it's helping you, it's helping other people, your family, flexibility. So sounds great. So one of the things I promised my listeners was to talk to you a little bit about your philosophy on parenting and being a mom. And I wonder if you would just kind of share that. I think
Sure. Well, gosh, I think like most moms that are listening, I'm just still trying to figure it all out. Honestly, I think I'm imperfect, absolutely, like we all are. And I think that's absolutely okay and normal. And I think we should really embrace that. There's a lot of layers. One is that I struggled with infertility for about 7.5 years until adoption made me a mommy. And as I mentioned, my eldest son, Tyson's 4.5. And then when Tyson was almost 3, he was turning 3 in November. And then we got the call about Kai. And so my journey is, it's definitely a little bit different in that respect. In that, and I don't think I can necessarily speak for all adoptive moms, but there certainly have been times when there's been challenges, whether it's when Tyson was a baby and crying nonstop and, exhausted and trying to figure out what the hell am I doing? Yeah. There certainly would be the voice in my back of my head that would say, you know what? You never birthed these kids, and maybe you weren't supposed to be a mom. Maybe that's why, this wasn't supposed to happen. You just, so that I don't know if there's a little bit, of a bigger thing or guilt that might have been there, or shame, or whatever you want to kind of label it. Yeah. And I would say that's fading a lot over time, but it's still, at times we're just like, oh, Jesus, maybe I wasn't supposed to like do this mommy gig, So I'd say that's definitely been a part of it. But the reason that how this all began with Mom at 41 is that I used to blog on my chiropractic website. And so I would blog about wellness and nutrition, exercise, mindset, but I also would blog a lot about parenting. And I got, I just got very, very real and honest about a lot of stuff. And what I found was that the posts that I did on parenting, especially the really raw stuff, I got the most comments, shares, likes, people just sending me messages about like, oh my God, like, thank you so much for saying out loud what I've been feeling, because I thought I was the only one. People that I knew at my gym that were following my blog or in the office would almost like pull me aside. Oh, the thing you mentioned about your kids melting down and, you feel like you suck as a mom. They're like, I can't believe you feel that way too. I totally feel that way. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, of course we all, and but what was funny is that they kept telling me these things almost like in privacy. Yeah. Like I remember when I was started Mom at 41, I set up the Facebook page first. And I had about it because I realized I was like, when I noticed that there was so much of a need, if you will, to kind of have this space for moms, I kind of realized I had to have a separate home for it. Yeah. And it took me a long time, probably a number of months, to kind of like figure it out as to what that was going to be and how that was going to look. And my husband and I actually had an idea for another podcast, and then this started coming up, and I was like, I got to do my own thing. And so that's kind of how Mom at 41 came about. But when I was going through all the creative and all the steps that go to getting your podcast launched, and then you think you're like, oh, I got it together. And then it's a boatload of work to keep it going. To figure out stuff and how to get people to listen, all that. Right. Yeah. So I realized before I launched the podcast, I'm like, I don't even have a community yet, so I started a Facebook page. And so I did that. And so I remember I had one particular mom lovely person. I know her, and she used to come into her office for chiropractic care. And she said, you know what? Because I made it like just as a regular public Facebook page. And she goes, you need to make this private, because I'm not going to feel comfortable disclosing stuff, and neither will other moms. And I was like, thank you for your comment. However, you're not getting the point. The point is to bring this out of the freaking closet, right? Yeah. And to not have it where women feel that they can't even tell their close girlfriends about stuff because they're afraid of what they're going to think or what they're going to say. But yet they tell me they don't even really know all that well.
Right.
So I couldn't really fathom why this conversation wasn't happening. And, I'm definitely a later in life mom, as you will. When we were placed with Tyson, I was 41 and a half. And when Kai came along, I was 44. So, maybe it kind of comes along with just a little bit more life experience and, just more time, I guess, just being on the planet to feel a little bit more comfortable with being in my own skin and just being really honest and real about things and vulnerable. Right. But, I was like, thank you, but no, this will always be a public page, and this is why I'm doing it. And so, I just kept getting messages from moms of, this is happening. And I feel like I'm the only one in my mommy group that doesn't do this. And everyone feels like they're perfect. I'm like, honey, everyone feels like you do. It's just nobody's saying it.
Right.
They all think the other moms are doing it perfectly. And meanwhile, all the ones that think they're doing it perfectly think that you're doing it perfectly.
Right.
And so that's why I really wanted to create that space and the podcast and the community, because I feel this mom shaming. We go right in. So I feel the whole glorification of being busy, of mom shaming, of perfectionism, of the super mom, right? Of the super mom, and how that's look at these moms. They're these women that are like burning themselves in the ground. But look, they made it. They stayed up till 3 a.m. to do these perfect cupcakes they saw on Pinterest. Awful. I just find the whole thing is just absolute crap, and it's destroying women. And so I feel like, again, this conversation needs to be discussed and often, because there still is, again, the whole mom is martyr. Look at mom sacrificing everything for her kids is still kind of goes on. And I just really feel it's not right. It needs to change.
I totally agree with that. And, I didn't even know really at what level that existed until I had my daughter, who's now 7.5. And I was a late in life mom. So I was 39 when I had her. And I joined this group, and the women it was like a, first time mom group. And there were probably, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 of us. And then the group expanded with different classes. So by the end, there was probably like 20 of us. And they were probably 10 years younger on average than I was, roughly. And it was crazy. I mean, I just could not believe the level of perfectionism, the self-criticism, the inability to take a compliment even too. Like I would observe, wow, you're doing great. I love the way you do this. Nope. They would just kind of deflect any compliments. It was really tough. And we had our own little email list, and, there would be some venting on that, but it was really, it's so interesting. So the closed concept that you mentioned, I'm not at all surprised by that. And it really is so paralyzing on some level to be a part of that. If you don't have somebody like yourself around who's going to break the bubble and be kind of like, this is bull, you're working your ass off and doing all these things for your kids, and you need a break, and it is hard. And, so that's why I just really embrace your message. And I'm so glad that you articulated the way
thank you.
I love your open Facebook page. So it's, what's the actual, is it just Mom at 41, searching for Mom at 41?
Yeah, like Facebook page is facebook.com/Mom at 41. And the website is momat41.com. And like all the links and stuff and how to connect with me and stuff is all through there.
Okay. Great. I love that. Yeah, check it out, ladies. It's very liberating. It's great. It's very positive too. So this is excellent. I don't want to keep you up too late. So is there anything else that you want to share with us? Anything we should know about you before we wrap things up? Best way to connect with you? I'm
such an open book. You can ask me anything. I think, the biggest thing is just if any moms do want to connect with me about Mom at 41 stuff, or having that discussion, or want a little bit of support, or want to learn about doTERRA, please feel free to connect. Honestly, like I really, every single time I get an email, a Facebook comment, I respond to everything. And I really do appreciate it, and this is, again, I talked about my highest core value, connection, right? And so to me, when women take the time to actually do that, I really do honor that. And so if there's something that they feel that I can help them with or have some kind of value, to please reach out, listen to the podcast for sure. Kind of have me in my your earbuds, if you will. I think I'm over 100 episodes.
Nice.
So there's lots of content on there. If you want to kind of go back to earlier episodes, you can. And then to share with other moms, if you know there's other moms, because listen, the moms aren't all like the mom group that you mentioned you're in, right, Stephanie? I mean, there's a lot of moms that feel this way. It's just we're not finding each other, right?
Exactly.
So if there's other moms that you know that you think could value from the message I'm sharing with Mom at 41, then please do share that with them too.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to create that sisterhood, that village again, because it's so needed.
Yeah. And I just wanted to point out, congratulations on your 15th wedding anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Karen has a very supportive, very cool husband. And yeah, could you just mention, because of the situation of the people listening, I would love for them to hear a positive story of a marriage that works.
Totally. Okay, so we met in a bar. It doesn't really seem like it would be something that would be a long-lasting relationship, but it did, and we've kind of been together ever since. We've actually been together for almost 23 years.
Wow.
And then married 15.
Awesome.
So, I mean, to me, marriage, like parenthood, it's hard. It's work. It's, I think that we just decided, from the beginning that, to us, divorce was never an option. I mean, look, if there was abuse going on, if there was dangerous things, and I mean, of course, there's going to be, if the lines are crossed, then no to that. But I think we're just, we've been through a lot of stuff. We've been through tons of stress. My husband was diagnosed with Crohn's back in 2010, and lots of stuff that came along with that. Lots of challenges in our practice. Obviously, lots of challenges and pain with infertility. I mean, we've been through a lot of stuff. And I think for a lot of people, maybe a little bit more, some of the generations, some of them in their 20s and 30s and earlier generations than me, maybe just have a different viewpoint on marriage. And I don't want to definitely, make any kind of judgments towards that, because, to each his own with that. But I guess to me, it was like marriage was it meant something more to me. And we had been together for 7.5 years before we got married, and we knew from a year in that we're like, okay, this is kind of it. Wow. But I think you got to know that it is a freaking roller coaster. Yeah. It is work. It is not a fantasy. It is not. It's not like The Notebook. Okay.
Exactly.
The I can't wait till I can get your clothes off kind of feeling. It's not going to always be there all the time, and so there will be times where you're like, oh my God, you're. You look different now, or you're changing now, or maybe you're not a nice person right now, whatever it might be. You have to really, I think, you have to really respect that other person enough to have it be beyond the hot and bothered romantic kind of stuff. Right. And I think you just maybe have to have a real agreement about things, and you have to talk a lot. Yeah. Talk all the time, like all the time. And I think that person, as cheesy as it sounds, and I put this in my Facebook poster, they really have to be your best friend. Yeah. It has to be. I mean, love is one thing, but like is also really important too. Yeah. Right. And I think that you just have to know that marriage is going to be ups and downs and challenges and joys, and it's going to feel like it's work, and you're going to go, why doesn't he know that I should just like these things? Well, because you didn't tell him, and because he can't read your mind, and, and vice versa. Right. And so, yeah, I just, I don't know. I guess that's about all I have to say about that. We're still just, whatever. We're doing our best. We still yell. We still have fights. We still make up. We still love each other. I think that's the common thing of just like, we did make this agreement early of we're in this, whether you want to call it soulmate or whatever. But I just, this is the one that I love the most in my life, and that I'm excited to do things with in life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I want people to check out your Facebook page soon for no other reason than to see that awesome picture of you guys on the beach jumping. And the more recent picture, you guys I've never met your husband, but you both seem so well matched in terms of your energy level too. You're both it seems like the way you kind of go for stuff, and you're just kind of very passionate people. And
we are. I think there's things that certainly are a little bit different at times. Sure. I'm a little bit more out there and extroverted. It's a little bit more introverted, a little bit more of that quiet power. Yep. But it works well for us. So
yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been great talking to you, Karen, and I really.
You too, Stephanie.
Thanks. I hope that, excuse me, I hope that you have some people reaching out to you. I think you really will with this. This has been a great interview, and I think everything that you shared is really intriguing. And we'll put everything up for your website, Mom at 41, and your podcast, Mom at 41, and people can connect with you directly and maybe hear more about the essential oils. I think you'll be hearing from me.
Yeah, we're going to chat. We're going to chat for sure. You bet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
The Audacious Life. Find peace and break free. Steph welcomes you to join her social circle on Twitter at The Audacious Life, Facebook.com/The Audacious Life,